So, I recently dove into Deep Work by Cal Newport, and honestly, this book made me rethink the way I approach pretty much everything I do. If you've ever felt distracted, like your attention is constantly being pulled in 100 directions, this book is like a wake up call. Newport's main idea is simple but powerful: the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks, what he calls deep work, is becoming increasingly rare, but at the same time, it's more valuable than ever. Here's the thing: most of us spend our days in what he calls shallow work, answering emails, scrolling social media, attending meetings that don't really matter. It feels productive, but in reality, it's mostly busy work. Deep work, on the other hand, is where the real value is created. It's writing that report that changes your company's trajectory, coding that new app feature, or learning a skill that sets you apart in your field. Deep work is hard, uncomfortable, and takes focus, but it's where growth happens. Newport makes an interesting point about why deep work is so rare today. Our world is full of constant distractions: notifications, open tabs, social media, group chats, and endless pings. We've trained ourselves to switch tasks constantly, thinking multitasking is productive. But science shows that every time you switch focus, your brain pays a price. You lose time, energy, and creativity. Deep work is about fighting that habit, creating conditions where your brain can fully immerse in one meaningful task at a time. One of the things I really liked is how Newport talks about rituals and routines. He doesn't just tell you to work deeply, he shows you how to make it practical. For example, some people create strict work schedules where they block off hours for deep work, eliminate all distractions, and even create specific workspaces designed to foster concentration. Others use what he calls grand gestures, like moving to a new location or drastically changing your routine to force focus. The key is to make deep work a habit, not a one off event. Newport also emphasizes the importance of downtime. This was counterintuitive for me at first, because we often think we should be grinding nonstop to get ahead. But deep work isn't just about long hours of effort. It's about intense focus followed by rest. Rest allows your brain to process information, consolidate ideas, and generate new insights. The people who succeed aren't necessarily the ones who work the longest. They're the ones who work deeply and then recharge effectively. Another concept that stuck with me is the idea of attention residue. If you jump from task to task, your brain doesn't fully let go of the previous task. So even when you think you're focusing, part of your attention is still stuck somewhere else. Newport argues that minimizing this residue is essential. That means batching tasks, avoiding constant context switching, and training yourself to finish one thing before moving on to the next. It sounds simple, but in practice, it's a game changer. The book also dives into the benefits of cultivating rare and valuable skills. Newport says that in our economy, deep work is what separates highly successful people from the rest. If you can produce high-quality work quickly, if you can learn complex skills and solve hard problems, you become indispensable. And guess what? Most people don't even try because deep work is uncomfortable. That discomfort is actually the signal that you're doing something meaningful. One thing I found really practical was his advice on limiting distractions. He doesn't just say, turn off your phone. He provides strategies for creating a distraction-free environment, like working in locations where interruptions are impossible, scheduling times to check email, and even rethinking social media usage. The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to reclaim blocks of time where you can think, create, and focus without interference. Newport also talks about embracing boredom. That's right, boredom. He explains that constantly seeking entertainment or distraction weakens your ability to concentrate. Learning to tolerate and even embrace boredom strengthens your focus muscles. The more comfortable you are sitting with your thoughts, the better you'll be at deep work. It's kind of like training your brain to resist the urge for constant stimulation. Now, this book isn't just theoretical. It's full of real-life examples of people who use deep work to achieve extraordinary results, from scientists and writers to entrepreneurs and programmers. And the common thread is always the same. They deliberately carve out distraction-free time, commit to intensity, and make their work a craft. The results speak for themselves. So here's my honest take. Deep work isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about creating conditions for your brain to perform at its best, and then protecting that focus like a precious resource. If you're constantly feeling busy but not productive, or if you want to create meaningful results in your career, this book will give you a framework to do exactly that. At the end of the day, Newport's message is simple but profound. Distractions are everywhere, but focus is the new superpower. The people who master it will not only get ahead, they'll create work that matters. And honestly, in a world full of noise, that's a skill worth cultivating.